The champagne was already warm when my phone vibrated. Not a call. A message. A photograph slid onto the screen, cropped tight, careless, her wrist, the anniversary bracelet I'd given her that morning, another man's hand on her thigh. The tablecloth was ours. The restaurant was ours. The laugh didn't look up at first. I watched the condensation crawl down my glass, slow as a confession. Around me, friends clinked forks and smiled. Someone raised a toast I didn't hear. She stood across the room in a red dress I paid for, leaning into him as if gravity had finally told the truth. I felt nothing. She caught my eye, held it, smiled, not guilty, amused, like this was a test she'd already passed. I stood. My chair whispered against the floor. The room quieted in that way rooms do when something is about to break. Anniversary speech. Someone joked, I didn't answer, I walked. Behind me laughter, hers, bright, sharp. She thought I was leaving the mess for someone else to clean. She thought I'd roll over. She always mistook silence for weakness. Outside, the night was clean. Cold, I breathed, and began counting. We had been married 11 years, long enough for routines to calcify into truths, long enough to believe that trust, once built, didn't need maintenance. She had been drifting for months, not a way up. New friends, new dinners, new vocabulary, words like portfolio and visibility. I applauded, I financed. At home, she touched me like furniture. Useful, expected, ignored when new things arrived. I replayed the last year with a surgeon's patience. The late meetings that ended early. The phone turned face down, the laugh she saved for elsewhere. The betrayal wasn't the sex, it was the theater, the audience. The laugh when I walked out, public, intentional, she wanted me small. Back in the apartment, I placed my keys on the counter. I didn't throw anything. I didn't pace. I washed my hands. Control is a habit. Panic is a luxury. I slept on the couch. In the morning, she texted a single line, "Don't be dramatic." That was when I became invisible. I nodded. I smiled. I apologized for the scene. I offered space. I paid the bills on time. I asked about her day with interest calibrated to believability. At night, I backed up her phone while she showered. I learned her new passwords, the ones she thought were clever. I pulled records, calendars, expenses. I watched patterns crystallize, hotels disguised as conferences, transfers labeled consulting, emails written like riddles to make the truth feel exclusive. I hired no one, I needed no help. Betrayal leaves fingerprints everywhere. I read our prenup again. The clauses she'd laughed at when we signed. Fidelity, morals, reputation. She had wanted the lifestyle without the leash. She forgot contracts, don't care about confidence. I opened a new account. Quiet, clean, I redirected nothing yet, timing matters. At dinner, she talked about a future I wasn't in. I nodded like a man being phased out of his own life. Inside, numbers arranged themselves. Dates. Names, proof. The report arrived on a Tuesday. Neat, unemotional, a ledger of choices. I printed everything. 3 copies. That evening, I placed the folder between us. I didn't sit. She laughed again until she opened it. Her face drained in stages. First confusion, then recognition, then the collapse she'd rehearsed for other people. "Explain," she said, as if explanation could outrun ink. I watched her hands tremble. The bracelet glinted, my bracelet. "You went through my things." "No," I said, "you left them everywhere." She cried, loud, strategic. She promised clarity. She promised therapy. She promised me back. I felt calm. The kind that arrives when the war is over and only cleanup remains. "I know," I said. "That's why this is done." I didn't raise my voice. I raised the mirror. The next week, I filed quietly. I forwarded evidence to the board that paid her consulting fees. I sent documentation to the charity that fronted her image. I attached timestamps. Receipts. Reputations are fragile because they're expensive. She debuilt hers on borrowed time and my money. She called, screamed, bargained, threatened. I sent one message back, check the clauses. The accounts froze, the invitations stopped. The friends who laughed that night found. At mediation, she reached for my hand. I folded my fingers away. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she said. "No," I agreed. "You were supposed to get away with it." When the judge read the terms, she stared at me like I'd become someone else. I hadn't, I just stopped pretending. I moved into a smaller place. I kept fewer things, the silence fit. Sometimes I remember the laugh, how public it was, how confident, I don't flinch anymore. Revenge isn't rage, it's accuracy. I didn't ruin her. I removed the scaffolding. She did the rest. On the anniversary, a year later, I walked past the restaurant. New tables. New faces. I didn't go in. I learned the difference between being loved and being used, and how quietly a man can walk away with everything that matters. I didn't win her back. I won myself.